My name is Olivia Rothwell. I completed my Master's in Conservation in 2010. After graduating, I worked at the Zoological Society of London, supporting and overseeing their conservation technology program. I began my work as an intern, but I was able to focus my career at ZSL on the development and use of new tools and technology and data management systems for remote monitoring and protected area management. This role ended up being critical for my next move, which was to Aotearoa, New Zealand. I moved to New Zealand in 2015 and quickly learned that a major aspect of New Zealand's conservation sector is a focus on eradication. This is because New Zealand is experiencing a biodiversity crisis, as it has the highest rate of threatened indigenous species in the world. In 2016, the New Zealand government launched the Predator-Free 2050 effort. The Predator-Free 2050 vision is focused on the complete removal of 5 most damaging predators: rats, stoats, ferrets, weasels, and possums by the year 2050. My current position is with Predator-Free 2050 Limited, which is a Crown-owned charitable company established to help deliver the New Zealand government's ambitious goal. The company provides co-funding to enable predator control and eradication projects at large landscape scale, and the breakthrough science needed to underpin them. My role is to manage and support projects we fund under our science strategy. This includes funding projects that will fast-track research, development, and production of new predator control and eradication tools and technologies. Some of these tools include things like a highly sensitive detection camera to detect and identify possum, rats, and stoats, to help protect some of the most remote predator-free landscapes in New Zealand. Low-cost, open-source automated system for dispensing lures to rodents and possums, which is designed to last up to a year, drastically reducing the labor cost involved in rebaiting. New toxins like rat selective toxin norbamide that lack toxicity to birds and other mammals. And other tools include self-resetting traps and traps designed for the last few hard-to-catch predators that may remain in an area after control operations. We also fund integral research on how Maotaranga Maori indigenous knowledge, coupled with the latest innovations in technology, is key to best practice when it comes to predator eradication. Overall, it's incredibly rewarding to be at the forefront of a country-wide conservation initiative, and my degree at UCL helped give me the foundations required to advance my career. As for advice on building your career in conservation, a huge amount of my work, both in London and New Zealand, has been around project management and stakeholder management. There's a huge range of skills that are required to run successful and resilient conservation projects, so supplementing your degree with project management and stakeholder management development can be very beneficial. Thank you.
Hi, we both went to UCL and did the Master's Conservation course. I'm Steph Rogers and I graduated in 2016.
And I'm Vivien Lee and I graduated in 2019. We're both R&D entomologists in Entecycle and we're working in the sustainable insect protein industry.
So currently I'm working on leading the fly breeding experiments so that we can produce eggs at a huge scale. I'm working on automating population control with machine learning, and I'm also creating the perfect climate-controlled cages for mass breeding.
And I'm working on validating and improving tech to raise larvae at a large scale for both breeding and production. And I'm also running bioconversion trials, formulating different larvae diet based on different types of waste streams.
Our company, Entecycle, is building the UK's first automated industrial-scale insect protein factory. The system operates on nutrient circularity, meaning that we recover nutrients from waste and recycle them back into the food system. Over £13 billion worth of food is wasted each year in the UK. These and other organic wastes, for example agricultural waste, can be feedstock for black soldier fly. As the larvae grow, we harvest them to become protein sources for pets and livestock. There is no waste in the system and any byproduct is turned into fertilizer. Our mission is to accelerate a global transition to sustainable protein.
Over the years, we've developed lots of clever tech solutions to automate the process, which enables us to farm insects at a much larger scale compared to traditional methods. Once built, our factory will be able to process 25 tons of waste per day and producing over 2,000 tons of protein and fertilizer every year. One of our key successes recently is that we have secured $5 million in equity and are closing in on another $15 million in funding. By this time next year, we hope to have our flagship factory up and running.
Everyone, I'm Jackie Ireland and I graduated from the Conservation Masters in 2010. I now work in the sustainable seafood industry for the Aquaculture Stewardship Council. They are a market-driven organisation that drives responsible practices in fish farming, and so we certify seafood that is produced in both an environmentally and socially responsible way. I work in the research team and we focus on how to ensure that the science that backs up our way of measuring sustainable aquaculture systems is up to date. At the moment, I'm looking at the climate-related factors of aquaculture, so things like what are the greenhouse gas emissions coming from farms, how does farm siting affect things like land use change in areas like mangrove forests, but also how are farms going to be impacted by a changing climate and how can sustainable practices help to mitigate that. So it's a really interesting and challenging area to work in, trying to find that balance between the science and what's practically achievable on the ground, and what's going to bring the best results for the environment and the local communities that are impacted by aquaculture. So my advice for graduates is just to take any opportunity that comes your way. I've done some varied roles before I found something that I could really dig my teeth into and enjoy, but it's all been really useful experience. So thank you and good luck.
Hello, this is Julia Grollman. I did the tax course from 04 to 06, so graduating after doing 2 years part-time, and since then I've had a multitude of interests arising from this course, most of them voluntary because I did it as a mature student and didn't choose to do further study or be employed in that way. But what I have been doing is a lot of river stuff, including setting up a river fly monitoring scheme on my local catchment, which is the Ravensbourne catchment in southeast London. So I've learnt the difference between wellies and waders. I've learnt how to use a sweep net. I can identify most of the things that live in this morass, and I've had a great time in wet places all over this country and indeed at one point in Africa on an Earthwatch expedition to mango replanting project. I've also done a lot of educational work, helping people in and out of streams who've never put waders on before, a lot of conservation work, partly with Thames 21 River Charity and a great deal of Himalayan balsam pulling. And in many different ways, FACS enriched and entertained me over all the years since I've graduated, and I would say to anyone who is doing the course now to keep the enthusiasm in spite of all the challenges to studying and working and volunteering in freshwater, and I wish you all the best of luck. Cheers.